Hello, I'm Fabiana,
Hello, I'm Bruno,
and we will talk about
the history of
Olympic Games.
The Olympic Games were created in ancient Greece and appeared around the 8th century before Christ. The games took place in the city of Olympia, where citizens from other cities wandered in order to participate in the competitions. The Olympic Games were held every 4 years. These games were dedicated to the gods of Olympus, mainly to the god Zeus, god of gods. The objective was to show the physical capacities and evolution of the men to the gods, so that they could be recognized for their merit. Nowadays, they are sporting events, but at that time it was believed that whoever won the tests was helped by the gods.
The Olympic Games include 200 meters run, 400 meters run,
Between 1040 meters and 4080 meters run, chariot race,
long jump, javelin throw, discus, fight, box,
a mix between judo and jiu-jitsu, similar to MMA, called pancration. The games went into decline when Rome conquered Greece in 146 before Christ and were cancelled in 393 after Christ by the Emperor Theodosius I. The Theodosius Imperator ended with the Olympic Games because the games were dedicated to the gods of the Olympus and Rome was Christian. The games have been forgotten for centuries.
the first significant attempt to try to bring the old Olympic Games back was the Olympiade de la République, an annual national Olympic festival from 1790 to 1798 in revolutionary France. Finally, in 1894, there was a meeting and it was decided that 2 years later the Olympic Games would return.
In 1896, the modern Olympic Games played out in Athens with 241 participants from 14 countries. A curious fact is that games were reborn in the place where they were born. After the success of the Olympic Games in 1896, the games had some difficulties being in the background. Without stadium, little participation of different countries, already more than 80% of the athletes were American, little public interest.
The games grew slowly under the guidance of Pierre Coubertin, who founded the COI in 1894. In 1900, women were allowed to participate in the Olympic Games for the first time.
In 1924, the Paris Games won over the public with over 3,000 athletes from 43 countries. The 1946 Berlin Games were the first to be broadcast on TV to a restricted audience under the Adolf Hitler regime that used the games for advertising.
The Games of 60s in Rome were broadcast by Europe, and in 1964 the whole planet could watch the Olympic Games.
At the Magic Games in 1968, runners Tom Smith and John Carlos lost their medals when protesting on the podium against racial discrimination and inspired a whole generation of black athletes. In Munich in 1972, the Palestinian military invaded the Olympic Games and killed 11 Israeli athletes and coaches and West German policemen. Today, the Olympic Games are the biggest sporting event in the world, with more than 10,050 athletes from more than 200 countries.
Some well-known names of the Olympic Games are Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps,
to close the gap. Phelps held everybody off.
Francisco Lázaro. Francisco Lázaro was a Portuguese athlete who died after a race. Curiosities. When the games started, only one race was played, 170 meters race. The games were so remarkable that everyone paused wars to watch them.
An African American athlete won 4 medals and Hitler left the stadium because he was black. Michael Phelps is the most medaled athlete with 28 medals. 23 were gold. And the last curiosity is about Pierre de Coubertin. Coubertin spent all of his fortune to bring the Olympics back and ended up dying poor and alone. As a form of recognition, his heart was transported to Olympia and has remained there until today. I personally have to thank Coubertin because if it weren't for Coubertin, the Olympic Games that exist today would not exist. If there are the games that exist today, it was because a man believed and fought for a cause, giving up his morning and ending up alone. Thank you, Coubertin. And as he said, the important thing is not to win, but to compete and with dignity. Pierre de Coubertin, 1863-1937.